friends, and welcome back to the Sweatable podcast. My name is Brooks Herbis, and I'm an online fitness, nutrition, and mindset coach who's here to help you simplify and make sense out of the all too confusing fitness and nutrition industry. Let's be real, there's a lot of conflicting information online, and it can be hard to know what's legit and who to trust. In every episode, I'll be sharing the science and psychology behind health, fitness, and long-lasting behavior change. But I'll also be sharing real-life practical application, because all of the best info in the world only matters if you can actually apply it to your real life. So grab a coffee, water, glass of wine, or lace up your walking shoes, and let's dive in. Hello, Sweatable Squad. Welcome back to the studio. I am so excited you guys are here, and I have a really great, unique topic for this week. And before we dive in, it actually is related to a year ago when I was getting married. So a year ago this week, I actually got married, and I'm now experiencing this week these like post-wedding blues. And I feel like people typically talk about this like within a month of you having your wedding. Like some people are like, you should delay your honeymoon so that you still have something to look forward to. I never experienced those, but I'm feeling it now. And I'm curious if anyone else experienced some delayed post-wedding blues. I think it's with all of the, like memories and photos that have been popping up on my phone. It's just reminding me how truly fun that it was. Almost like a full month period between all the wedding activities and then my honeymoon. Just how much fun that time in my life was. And yes, I have so much still to look forward to, and I've had an incredible year since then. But it's kind of just that weird sensation of realizing like, hey, I'm never gonna have this very unique experience again. And I'm just curious if anyone has experienced that later than just that 1 month mark. So let's shoot me a DM if I'm not alone in this and you've been through that too. But that really brings me back to all of those like memories, all of the old Instagram posts that have been popping up. It really brings me back to what today is all about, because this episode was originally going to be something else, which I'll cover in a later podcast. But I really wanted to talk today because I had a memory pop up of something that I posted a year ago on my Instagram story. So like I said, I got married last July. It was a year ago this week. And at this point in the month last year, I was deep in wedding planning and details. And if you've ever planned a wedding, you can probably relate to how busy and stressful those last few months typically feel. And the story I posted basically outlined that, I was under a lot of stress, and during this high stress time, I was keeping up with a few foundational habits that I know made me feel best. And the habits were 4 strength training sessions a week, hitting my 10K steps a day, a weekly yoga class, 8 hours of sleep, limiting alcohol, eating mostly nutrient-dense meals at home, and rest. And 2 really interesting points to be made here that I want to expand on in this podcast is, number 1, these are the same habits that I prioritize today, and they are the same things I was prioritizing 2 years ago. And this right here, being focused on the same habits for an extended period of time, whether you're stressed, whether you're wedding planning, whether you start a new job, focusing on the same foundational habits, that is the end goal. I want you guys focused on building habits and routines that leave you feeling so good. You want to keep them up for months and years at a time. And I know that change is really exciting, and maybe you feel like you should always be trying something new when it comes to health and fitness. But the truth is that couldn't be further from the case. Yes, health and fitness trends are exciting, and those posts on social media get a lot of views. Everyone wants to hear about the new supplement they can take, and the cold plunge they can do, and the sauna they should buy. But there's a reason that they're just trends, and they come and go so frequently. Maybe you remember 10 years ago when everyone was putting butter in their coffee. I fell into that trend. We're not still talking about that. No one is still putting butter in their coffee. But you know what we were talking about 10 years ago that we're still talking about now? Strength training. and the benefits of sleep. And it's because the reason that these trends like the butter coffee and the cold plunges are going to come and go, it's because they're not the true foundation of a healthy lifestyle long term. So those aren't the things that I want you guys focusing on moving forward. The true foundational habits are boring, and they're meant to be because you're meant to do them forever. And I know that we don't always like the boring. We want change, we want newness, but I always tell my one-on-one online coaching clients that success happens in the boring. When you're like, ugh, it feels like I am just in a groove doing the same thing week after week, that's something to be celebrated. That's incredible. That means that you've made it. Now, I do want to point out that your foundational habits don't have to look exactly like mine. I'll be honest that the things that focusing on these things is what's going to help you lose fat and maintain it for years, as I've been doing. But if you're just getting started on your fitness journey, you might not have those. However, it was quite a bit of habits. And if you're new to this, that might feel like quite a bit of habits. So if you're new to this, it might not look exactly like those things. Maybe you're just picking 1 to 2 of those, or maybe your foundation is 2 workouts a week instead of 4, or 4K steps a day instead of 10. Your goals might look a little bit different than mine. And honestly, even in different seasons, these goals may change. I'm about to enter a really busy travel season for other people's weddings, and I'll be giving myself a little bit of grace when it comes to steps. The point isn't that you have to do all of these things at max capacity all the time, but the point is that you're still doing them in some capacity. So I just said I might deprioritize steps over the next couple months, but I'll still be getting in some steps. And that's really the point of the foundational habits to begin with. It's to find the things that you can keep up with in some capacity, no matter what. Let's be real, if you are entering a really stressful season at work or you are traveling all the time, are you going to be able to go and find a cold plunge that you can do every single week or every single morning? No, that's going to keep falling further and further and further on your to-do list. But what you could probably still prioritize during those times is going for a walk. And that's really the key difference here is I don't want you guys to keep focusing on the trends or the quick wins or the things that feel really exciting. I want you to think about the rest of your life. And what are the habits that you can keep up, not just when things are perfect and you feel like you are at your peak health and fitness goddess and that is your number one priority. I want you to think about what are the things you can keep up when life feels really freaking hard. Like when you are going through those really busy seasons, when you're going through those really stressful seasons, when it feels like health and fitness is frankly your last priority. What are the habits you could still keep up then? Those are the things that I want you to focus on because I want you to start having a similar experience to what I had this year. When I look at the habits that I was focusing on last year and the year before that, and I realize there's still the habits that I'm focusing on today. And this is really what I work with my clients to help them build because frankly, this is where success happens. If you can lock in these foundations and you can keep them up at any time in some capacity, you're going to be able to be successful forever. This is so much more impactful than just trying some new routine every 30 to 60 days. The reason I have maintained my weight for 7+ years now is because when I lost the weight, these were the habits that I focused on. And now I've been able to keep those habits up over the last years so I can maintain my progress and then also maintain it moving forward. So however you lose the weight, whatever the core foundation habits are that you're setting up right now, those are going to be the same habits you need to keep up literally forever. And again, it's okay to have different seasons of life where you are doing these things more or less frequently. But the idea is that you're always keeping them up somehow, some way. So I want you to spend the time to start to build these really foundational habits so that you can look back a year from now and say, oh, remember when I was focusing on these things? How cool that I'm still focusing on those things. Find your boring. Now, number 2, I said I had 2 really big learnings from that post. And number 2 was that I know I was stressed towards the end of wedding planning, but I truly don't remember having this high level of daily stress. Like looking back, I can remember like, oh yeah, I was more stressed than usual, or oh yeah, that was kind of a really busy time, or yeah, I know that wedding planning was overwhelming in general, but I don't remember feeling stressed to the degree that I'm talking about in that story. Like when that story popped up, I was like, huh, because it's so interesting that yeah, I can remember having the feeling of wedding planning being overwhelming in general, but I don't remember that I woke up, I'm feeling so stressed, I have to talk about my habits, that kind of feeling. I do, however, remember all the really incredible events that happened during that time period. I remember going down to our venue for our final walkthrough. I remember my bachelorette weekend. I remember when Michael and I took a trip away to privately say our vows. And, like, of course, I remember the entire wedding stuff in general. I truly had the best time at my wedding weekend. And this is kind of a metaphor for fat loss because in the moment, sometimes these habits do feel really hard. It's uncomfortable to change your habits, which means that there's a lot of uncomfy moments along the way, similar to that high stress I was feeling this time last year. It's going to feel hard sometimes to go on a walk, to cook your dinner, to pass on that extra happy hour drink. Those are the things that in the moment or day of make you go, okay, wow, this is kind of tough. Or, okay, wow, I'm putting in a lot of work. Or, okay, wow, this is like a lot that I got to keep up with. Or, okay, wow, this is difficult and I'm feeling a little uncomfortable. But just like how now I'm a year out from this stressful period and I'm not remembering that day-to-day discomfort, I'm remembering the bigger life impact. You're going to feel the same way about fat loss. A year from now, you won't remember that you had one less drink at happy hour and that you missed an episode of The Bachelorette because you were at the gym. But you will remember how you're feeling overall and how it's impacted your life now. So is this small daily discomfort worth it to you? If you could look back a year from now and say, wow, I am so glad that I put in the work and changed my life. Because seriously, truly, your life could look drastically different a year from now. And when you're looking back, what do you want to remember? That you're so proud of the work you put in because you've completely changed your life and improved your confidence? Or that you avoided short-term discomfort and you're still in the exact same spot you were before. I know this change is possible for you because I have one-on-one coaching clients who started with me a year ago and their body composition has completely changed. Their daily habits have completely changed. They have more confidence. Like their life is completely different than it was a year ago today. And again, I can tell you that they are not sitting here looking back and saying, yeah, I missed that one drink at my friend's birthday party 6 months ago. They're saying, wow, I remember a time when it felt really hard to go on vacation and I was feeling guilty about every single thing I was eating. And now I don't feel that way at all. And I just enjoy my vacations and I live in the moment. And that feels so freaking good. And that's the difference. I want you to be okay with the temporary discomfort of some of these hard habits and the fact that it does take a little bit of work to reach your fitness goals and that sometimes there is going to be some discomfort so that you can look back a year from now and be really freaking proud of where your life is and all the big changes that you've made so far. So those are really my two big takeaways. Number one, I want you guys to continue to focus on long-term foundational habits that you can have year after year after year, because that is how not only just losing the weight, but maintaining it is going to feel so much easier. And two, I want you to remember that even in these really hard moments, because there are going to be hard, frustrating moments along the way, a year from now, you're not going to remember those hard, frustrating moments. You're just going to remember how proud you are of where you are now. So this is your little extra motivation to keep going, to stick with the hard, and to remember that a year from now, it's all going to feel so much easier. Because that also comes with practice too. the more you do these habits, the easier they become. That high stress feeling that I was experiencing and explaining when it came to wedding planning, I know that at some point along my fitness journey, when I was first starting out, I felt maybe a similar way about my fitness goals. Maybe not stressed, but I felt like it was a lot of work. And now, not only did I not feel like those things were work, I felt like they were so easy that I was keeping them up during a really stressful period. And they were actually the things that were making me feel better. And that's the goal that I have for all of you, to get to a place with all of these habits and with your mindset so that eventually these things feel so easy and they're the things that make you feel like your best self during those hard moments. So I hope this episode was helpful. I hope this gave you a little bit of inspiration as to the sorts of things that you should be focusing on when it comes to fat loss moving forward. If you have a specific habit that you're wanting to tackle first, please shoot me a DM. Let me know what it is. I would love to chat through it with you and answer any questions that you have. If you found this episode helpful, I always appreciate it when you guys share it with a friend, share it on your stories. That is how my podcast community grows, and it seriously means the world to me. But in general, I so appreciate you guys being here. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll talk to you next week.